Let's move into the Kevin Durant trade. The Phoenix Suns traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick in this current draft, as well as 5 second-round picks. From the Rockets' perspective, do you like this?
I do like this from the Rockets' perspective. They're in a win now mode at this point. They not this past year, but the year before, they just missed out on the NBA playoffs. And then this past year, they were the number 2 seed. Obviously, they got eliminated, but that 7 seed Warriors and just the Western Conference in general was going to be tough. Anywhere from the 2 to like the 4-2-7 to the 4-5 matchup felt like there were tough matchups all around. Obviously, the Lakers got upset, and then obviously the Rockets did as well. So the fact that they're trying to win now and they see that the Western Conference is deep, I think that like you want Jalen Green was a really good regular season player and one of the best players on that team. I think Alperen Sengun kind of stepped up as their best player throughout the course of the season. But don't get me wrong, Jalen Green is a really good player. But do you, as for right now, do you want Jalen Green or Kevin Durant, especially in the clutch moments, especially in the playoffs? You want Kevin Durant, and that's how I think they're looking at it. They have a coach, Ime Udoka, who has won before, maybe not the highest level, but is a winning coach, and they're in the market to win now. They see the Oklahoma City. They see some of the other teams. They see a developing Minnesota or a Minnesota, at least with Anthony Edwards. And you see some of the other teams in the Western Conference. You need a move, and this is their move for them. And I think that it puts them in a better place, and you don't lose that much. Like Dillon Brooks is a player that you a really great 3-and-D guy, somebody you really like, but it's not the biggest loss in the world. Jalen Green is obviously a step down from Kevin Durant, and the picks you can do without him. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, the number 10 pick is interesting because I didn't know if they had to include Jalen Green and the number 10 pick, but it seems like a fair price for Kevin Durant. He was so good still for the Suns last year. He could play with any team and anybody in the NBA and make it work. He's such a versatile player, and they were bad, not because of Kevin Durant last year. Like, he was still so good, so efficient, and like you said, in the clutch moments, Kevin Durant being on this Rockets team definitely – it feels like they've elevated beyond what they were last year. Unfortunately for Jalen Green, it just seems like that playoff series was like the nail in the coffin for him. They realized, I think, that they didn't really want to build around him being their second best player. And with that, plus maybe some other concerns just simply about maybe efficiency or where exactly he was headed as far as the ceiling was concerned, it makes sense that they might want to deal him. From the Suns' perspective, I was kind of surprised that they now have Jalen Green, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. They're obviously going to try to build around Bradley Beal, and they're kind of collecting – around Devin Booker. They want to get off of Bradley Beal as soon as possible, but they are kind of collecting assets. So I think it's really interesting from their perspective as well, what they want to end up doing with Jalen Green. I thought I saw an initial report that they wanted to end up moving Jalen Green after this trade. I don't know exactly if they can do that immediately or what exactly the timeline for that is as far as they're concerned. But I like what they got in return because Kevin Durant was not going to stay there. And I think it works for both sides.
Yeah, no, I think that it almost works a little bit worse for the Suns just because of the fact that you have 3 players that play a very similar style. If you end up moving forward with this current construction, because you're not getting off of Bradley Beal's contract. Jalen Green is movable, but like how quickly can you do that is a question you just raised, and I don't know the answer to it. And then Devin Booker is also that shooting guard type of like they all need the ball in their hands to like perform, and I think that's kind of the issue that they ran into last year. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal like just play too similar of a style of basketball. I feel like it just doesn't really work. So I don't think that Kevin Durant was really the issue with that because if anything, he's the least ball dominant of the 3. So and just if you're looking at the Rockets moving forward, like in a team where you have 2 other, obviously Bradley Beal was injured for periods of time. They don't always touch the floor together, but even on a team where you have 2 other great players, he averaged 26 points a game. He's averaged at least 25 points a game since his sophomore season in the NBA. So what is that, like 12, 13 years now? Like we all know who Kevin Durant is. Kevin Durant is that guy. And if you want to take the next step forward and not have to lose too much in return, I feel like this is one of those deals where you look at it from a Rockets perspective and you just got a lot better and you want to see where you can go moving forward.
I mean, I think the Rockets certainly love their position. I think it's really good for the Rockets. I'm more optimistic now for the Suns just because Kevin Durant didn't want to be there, and you were able to get off of him, and now Bradley Beal's probably going to pick up his player option after this upcoming season. So you're going to deal with at least 2 more years of trying to either get him to a terrible team and you essentially pay for trading him away, or this is your roster and this is how you construct it. And Jalen Green, while he does play the same position and a less efficient style of basketball, now you have him and you could potentially move him after this next year. It was never going to be a win now move for the Suns. So at least they have some sort of capital to work with and not a player that's actively seeking a trade, making it a little bit tougher on them to move a guy like Kevin Durant or with Jalen Green not wanting out completely. So I think it's interesting from their perspective. I think there's light at the end of the tunnel now for the Suns, and I think that's what's positive.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree from that perspective as well, just because of the fact that, like, you just were never, yeah, like the Suns, like, were in win now mode when they got Bradley Beal, when they got Kevin Durant, but like this experiment has like it just been like pretty much like what you'd consider a failure is like one of the bigger moves, and like looking at three superstars and like possibly being able to like do well in a conference they didn't even like get close to making the playoffs this season. So I think that like moving forward, you possibly have like also Jalen Green, like obviously like left a bad taste in people's mouths with the way he played in the playoffs. But like throughout the course of the regular season, he was like one like of the best players, like maybe not in the NBA, but like he was the second best player on the second best team in the Western Conference, and a conference that we were saying for the majority of the season was the conference to like be in, the conference to be. So I like I don't want to get too low on Jalen Green, because if he picks up things from Devin Booker, like that duo could be scary for years to come. And even if not, like he's a good young player, and if he keeps on developing, you could like move him maybe a little bit later on for even more. So I don't know exactly what the Suns' thought process is like at this current moment, what they want to do with him. But like Jalen Green isn't a bad basketball player. He averaged almost 20 points a game this season, if not 20 points a game. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I want to say like they didn't. It's not like they got a scrub back. Jalen Green is a good player, and then they also got the number 10 pick in this year's draft. So if they can hit on that, well, the second rounders, like nobody really ever cares about them. But still, like you got some capital, you got a good player in Jalen Green, and the Kevin Durant experiment was a short one, but one that probably wasn't going to work out.
What was so amazing about this whole scenario is that I also feel like Devin Booker can play with a lot of players and a lot of teams in this league, and it just simply didn't work. So maybe there's something there with him, pairing him with Jalen Green. So you're right. It's a capital move. So they're in a better spot than they potentially were a handful of days ago.